Welcome back, everyone, to another Company Fears 2 replay cast. This time we are gonna have a 4v4 sent in by NWO or New World Order or whatever the hell that's supposed to be. His friends are gonna be 47, who's also, someone that sends in replays every once in a while. So hello there, my friend. And yeah, so that's Wehrmacht and OKW. Then we've got Excalibur, another Wehrmacht man, plus another OKW dude, Panzerkrieg. So that's the right side. Map is City 17, as you can see. And that's a map that I haven't seen in a while, actually. So it will be nice to, kind of see what's going on. On the Soviet side, we have F1 Falcon, stealth fighter or whatever. He's playing as the Soviets. Then his friend is Laser, also the Soviets. Then we have Communist, as predictably the Soviets, and OV1 as the Brits. So 3 Soviets, 1 Brit versus double Wehrmacht, double OKW. Oh wow, someone's spamming Sturm Pioneers already. 47 on the left side is spamming Sturm Pioneers. That's an interesting choice because this side, again, is pretty open. Well, everything's pretty open on City 17. First engagement is going to be going down on the right-hand side. The Sturm Pioneers are going to be beaten, obviously, to the mill building by the engineers, but the engineers do not really have the firepower to prevent these guys from getting in this building. Trouble is, what the hell are they going to do with this building? I have no idea. This man, Panzerkrieg, went for a Kugelwagen and a Volksgrenadier squad, so perhaps he's trying to get the Volksgrenadiers in there, but it's probably going to take a while. On the left side, goddammit, there's no music. On the left side, it seems like the British player is going to be flanked by the Sturm Pioneers that went around the buildings, and that's going to be actually relatively devastating for this Vickers machine gun because they might be getting caught out, and yeah, they're trying to run away to hopefully safety, but the only support that they've got is this infantry section, and yeah, the MG needs to retreat. But is it late? Yes, it is very late. The MG42, sorry, not the MG42, the Vickers, I said MG42 because the guy said MG crew down, is going to be stolen by Sturm Pioneers, and that's pretty nasty because they keep the STG-44s as the crew, so that means that they're going to be a little bit less vulnerable to flanking. Of course, if that happens like right away, then with no support, the MG is gonna go down to these penals, but they can run away with the MG fully secured, and that is a great victory for 47. His friend NWO is not having as easy of a time because he's spamming out some MGs, so he's actually being stopped by just people putting themselves in cover in buildings and reaching the buildings before he can with his MG spam. So that's pretty bad for him, and looks like the Sturm Pioneers are still trying to move forward, but they're being absolutely shut down by the rifle fire from all directions, both from above, from below, and from the flank. So yeah, they're going to have to run away, and all the Sturm Pioneers are running away, except for one that has just been built and is trying to support the MG42 spam. All of the MG42s are engaged, and I'm thinking that the Germans should have this mostly locked down, because there's no way that the reduced Allied infantry can deal with this many machine guns, but we'll see. On the right side, the situation is a little bit more different, because obviously on this side we have 2 Soviets that have managed to get into the strong positions before their enemies. So they're using the MG spam on their side. However, it's not really going that well. As you can see, one of them goes a little bit too far forward, and overzealous is being punished by the MG42. The other one's being mortared and flanked. However, there's just so many MGs that the Volksgrenadiers just can't get into a correct position. They're having trouble weaving around all the MG fire. However, I don't see, nice smoke coming in. I don't see this MG being able to hold out way too long. Different ordeal for this one, but yeah, I think that if the Germans can keep up this assault and get these mortars to work correctly, then they can maybe lock down the right side. Left side, it seems like okay. So the MG spam has been a little bit shut down by a universal carrier. And yeah, the Universal Carrier, however, is going to need to be very careful because this guy just got bit one. Can he use the armor-piercing rounds? No, he will be sniped by the Universal Carrier. The MG can be stolen out by this penal unit, and the Universal Carrier survives. So reversals happening, but actually the MG will be defended by a couple of Sturmpioneer. In fact, this might be really bad for the penal squad. It will not be wiped, but you know, they will lose some members needlessly. Q-Wagon's back for revenge, and you know, these light vehicles are being quite annoying for the MG spammers, but I don't see them really lasting all that long. They're more of a temporary annoyance. Looking at the teching to see if there's things that aren't temporary coming up. There's Battle Group Headquarters very close to the front lines for 47. So obviously he's not only trying nice wipe. He's not only trying to supply his own troops, but I just noticed that. Interesting. Not only his own troops, but also his friend NWO. He can reinforce and stuff off of here. So yeah, that's pretty useful for both of the German players. His friend has gone for straight for tier 2 actually. Yeah, the MG spam into tier 2 looks like. But he's not going for Panzer Grenadiers, which is usually the first thing that you buy out of the tier 2 because, you know, you need infantry. However, you know, he's relying upon 47 Sturmpioneers to provide that defense against infantry, and that's pretty devastating. That is really devastating. Can he wipe out that? No. He's relying upon, you know, the Sturmpioneers to provide the close range. While, oh damn, yeah, as you can see, perhaps the Sturmpioneers are not enough as he gets flanked by shock troops and grenaded. And he's gone straight for the pack, just in case his enemies go for some kind of light vehicle. Are they going for some kind of light vehicle? Well, we do have the Bofors upgrade coming up for OV1, so that's not happening. They're trying to get themselves some defensive positions. And then the other man over here is going heavy on the infantry, obviously, with the shock troops and the penals. So, you know, the AT gun is going to be useful against the Universal Carrier along with the Raketenwerfer. But the Raketenwerfer would have been enough on its own, as you can see. Way more than enough. Like, this guy's going to escape this time, but, you know, it's the fact that there's a Raketenwerfer and it has shown itself to exist is going to be such a deterrent for the Universal Carrier that it would have been enough, to be honest. Bunkers are going down. So, you know, the Germans on the left side are going for more of a stagnant play, trying to hold what they already have and work from there. To be honest, the Allies aren't doing that much different except for the company command post and the Tankovy battalion command, but they haven't been able to really get anything out of there so far. 80 fuel is available to Communists, so he can go for a T-70. However, with, you know, the knowledge that there's a lot of AT guns, perhaps he should reconsider and go for the tier 4 and the Katyusha instead. On the right side, Excalibur has gone for a flame half-track, and he's got a massive swarm of tier 1. So that's very, very difficult, obviously, to break through for his enemies. Or having trouble, actually. A lot of trouble. Good pick on the ZSU half-track, which gets Panzerfausted, but, you know, destroys the Kübelwagen and can probably wreak some havoc if it gets repaired. Of course, the repairs are quite a bit far away. Will he go for the world-famous flak half-track in an easily destroyable position? I'm thinking that that's... sorry, not flak half-track, Schwerpanzer headquarters, which... Well, it is... In strict definition, it is a flak half-track, because, you know, this thing is a half-track, and then it's got a flak on top. But yeah, he's putting it in a very vulnerable position, although, as you can see, there's like a slight rise over here, so it's going to make it... Yeah, he placed it into a position where it's actually kind of in a concave, so it's going to be difficult for, like, AT guns and stuff to hurt it and hit it. Scout car is on the field for New World Order, and he's trying to chase down that Universal Carrier, but he actually decided to be very, very conservative and eats a grenade? What? Oh, heat grenade. What the hell is that? I didn't even realize that these guys had a heat grenade. Looks like it was the patch that did this. Anyway, so he gets anti-tank grenaded. Probably he didn't realize it either, because it's like, what? Sappers can throw AT grenades? Are you kidding me? But whatever. And oh, finally, the MG42 will be able to escape for once out of the clutches of this shock troop, which has killed it something like 3 times in a row. So left side still German. On the right side, we have that Aculaser is going for the anti-infantry with a couple of shock troops, and that 120mm Great Mortar of Doom, while his friend is going for the more AT approach. He's got a lot of AT guns, actually 2, plus these ESU. So yeah, looks like the allies over here are on the ascendancy. They're trying to move up, but this MG42, actually no, yeah, MG42 plus Maxim combo is not really looking all that good, because smoke coming in from the shock troops. Will they be able to actually capitalize upon this? It doesn't really look like it. There's a lot of stuff over here for the Nazis, and even though they're getting absolutely obliterated by the 120mm mortar and the artillery coming in from the AT guns, I don't think that the Allies really have much, you know, enough forces to push in against the battle group headquarters over here. There's another Schwerer Panzer coming up, but it's in a more conservative location. Looks like he voted for the Republicans. Looks like on the left side, the Axis are trying to now push up, even though earlier on it was the Allies that were attempting to regain the initiative. Because the fact that they royally fucked that up, now the Germans are able to, you know, kind of come back and push forward from their positions. Yeah, that's not going to work. Looks like the Flammenwerfer will be coming in and absolutely shutting down the push from the Soviet infantry. Anti-tank guns trying to move up, but the problem on the right side, obviously, of City 17 is that there's a lot of debris. Unlike the left-hand side, the right-hand side is open, but it's got a lot of debris and buildings that are going to be blocking the line of sight of these AT guns. So the Flame Half-Track is really revealing itself to be a good pick. A good pick. Oh, that's probably not the best decision ever there. New World Order. Looks like the New World Order is about as smart as, you know, a regular conspiracy theory. He's decided to put his MG in the middle of a relatively big minefield, even near the shoe mine from 47. So, you know, just making sure that if anything goes off around here, it's all going to explode. It's kind of like smoking in an oil rig. Oh, yes, yes. It is the infrared search half-track. I do love this unit, but there's a T-34 on the side of the Allies for Communist, and a Centaur AA and a 3-inch mortar, so big power spike for the Allies. They're trying to use the mortar to destroy the pack, but T-34 decides to move in just randomly, you know, without any recon, so that's obviously not going to work! What did I tell you? So the Centaur AA tank moves in and blows up all of the mines, along with the MG, along with its own tracks, and so the pack, sorry, the Raketenwerfer 43 anti-tank missile launcher is able to easily finish it off. Luckily for the Allies, they at least get a machine gun out of it. Where's the T-34? T-34 is repairing, and so it can't stop the 222 from chasing down this machine gun crew like a dog. However, it seems like the PTRSs will be providing a little bit of anti-tank. It's always lovely when you spam out PTRSs, because, you know, the only bloody advantage of the Pinos is that they're really good against infantry, but whatever. It seems like he didn't want a side tech to tier 2 to get AT guns, so he had to rely upon these PTRSs. Of course, you know, kind of the irony is that the Axis did not go for tanks at all, and yet they destroyed the Allied tanks anyway. And so these PTRSs were completely worthless. Ah, well, Mortar Team, or sorry, Mortar Pit died to all the Panzerschrecks. Strafing Run comes in. However, the T-34 can't really do anything, so the strafing run is wasted because all of the Allies are running away. And so that means that the Axis have complete command over the left-hand side of the map. Amazing volley of Panzerschrecks just absolutely destroys the T-34 from, you know, 420 no-scope range. And so, yeah, the entirety of the allies on the left-hand side have been completely wiped out. They do have a fair amount of resources that they can use to, like, maybe rebuild their forces, but yeah, they've taken a serious pounding, so they're gonna have to rely on the right side of the map. The right side of the map, we have Panzerkrieg is pushing forward, but he's floating 1,000 manpower, so you know, not as effective as it could be. 170 fuel also in his bank, so I'm guessing that he's going for the Panther, which might not be the best idea because, you know, what do you do when the enemies have Su-76s? Apparently is you go Panther. Not the worst idea ever, but considering all the, like, all this team weapon action, like the main targets that they have to deal with are soft rather than hard. These Su-76s look more like attempts to counter possible German armor, such as this Panzer IV, than, you know, really any scheme to gain the upper hand on the right side. Like, yeah, they're using the artillery, but it's like negligible, really, the impact that it can have. So I'd say that if I were Panzerkrieg, I'd go for the King Tiger or a Stuka or something like that. Those look like much better uses of the fuel than the Panther. Anyway, looking at the overall teching strategy of these guys, we have the support armor core, obviously from Excalibur. He's also not picked a doctrine, so he could go for assault support. Assault support, which would give him the Tiger. He's also got the new German infantry, which has stormtroopers and the veteran squad leaders and assault and hold. So that could be useful, actually, in case of, like, BP races at the end of the game. In terms of BPs, though, the Germans are definitely far ahead of the Allies, so that's not something that they're worrying about right now. And overall, he's trying to build, looks like a bit of a solid, all-rounded force. His ally, again, he does have a fair amount of, like, soft troops, infantry, and team weapons. However, his problem is that he's floating so many resources, which means that he could have been spamming out a few more support guns, really, and putting a lot of pressure on this allied force, but he hasn't done that. And that has allowed his enemies to build up. We have the Katyusha on the field for Falcon. Falcon Punch trying to Falcon Punch the battle group quarters, but luckily, because he's built the battle group, you know, behind this building, the infantry mostly doesn't die, although it also does die a little bit. Panzer IV gets countered by the Suchkas as was expected, but luckily the Germans were able to keep most of their stuff intact. And oh my goodness me, that was absolutely devastating for those shock troops. They get absolutely wrecked by the mortars and the support guns. So these guys really, you know, not feeling right. Not feeling right, TBH. Suchka 76s still doing their job. So despite the attempts, the Allies really aren't able to secure the right side for themselves. The left side, it seems like they're doing better than they used to with this Katyusha coming in from Falcon. So he's lending his artillery to the left as well. Looks like there was a kind of flare being shot up. That looked like a flare, but it seems like I just kind of... No, it's the infrared that did a light thing, and I just mistook it. Oh well. So NWO has been focusing on getting Jewish off of these Opel Blitzes. Yeah, he's going full Saudi Arabia mode. He has built quite a few fuel caches and the fuel trucks to improve the income of the fuel caches. And now he's going to spam out a few vehicles. He's getting out a Panther right now, which might be an interesting choice because he doesn't have the CPs out for Tiger yet, but his ally 47 has also gone for a Panther. So I myself would have gone for something alternative like a Broom Bear or some artillery to counter the allied artillery that is right now falling upon their positions. We have this artillery piece. What was that artillery that was falling down? Oh, it was the British concentration barrage. So artillery doctrine has been picked. Probably more so to give the Axis terrible PTSD from Company Fears 1 than anything else. But yeah, that's going to be relatively useful in breaking this defensive position that the Axis have set up. However, it's like the Allies in assaulting this position on the left-hand side are not really utilizing all the tactics that they could be. They're still moving in from this direction, so this sort of axis of advance, which is giving the Allies all the the Axis all the advantages that they could want, because again, they can flank around from here, they can use their easily defensible killing fields over here, and they get early warning by the infrared searchlight. Instead, what the Allies should have done is moved more heavily into the center and trying to flank from the right. But they didn't do that, and now they're cooked. So they're in a really bad state. Looks like the Katyusha is being hunted down by the Panther. So 47's Panther, absolutely no mercy, crushes through these industrial walls over here in City 17, trying to reach the Katyusha, but he realizes that there's way too much Britain over here, probably. He was walking into a trap of AT and, damaged engine and stuff like that, so he's running away. The other Panther over here is moving into the fuel caches of the Allies. Right now, the fuel income is surprisingly actually higher for the Allies than for the Axis. Partially because they were able to get quite a lot of harassment and cut off the right side of the map from German control. And also they're trying to keep this fuel point under their control, despite the fact that the Axis have the left side. So yeah, that's really good for the Allies, because that has allowed them to keep up with the Germans in terms of overall resource income and teching. Alright, should probably speed up a little bit because, mostly normal stuff is going on. Actually, let's pause and review the situation a little bit, because it's a team game, so it's going to be relatively difficult to follow everything. So, left-hand side, we have Les Pioneers of Doom, 4 of those, plus a amazing Panzer Fusilier, 447. He's also got the infrared, his little base area over here, with all the, one support gun, one Raken, and a Panther. He's holding quite a bit of fuel in the bank, and he does have the Jagdtiger, obviously from Breakthrough Doctrine, so he might want to go for that to complement his ally, whatever he's going to do with the Tiger. NWO does have a lot of resources in the bank, and actually 40 pop cap that he can spend, so I'm expecting maybe another Panther and then maybe the Tiger. One Panther is like, what, 18 pop cap plus the Tiger 21, so he does have the space for that. And he's got a couple of other units that can support his ally, but clearly the big workhorse for the pushes on this side is going to be 47. I'd say that they have to focus a little bit more on holding the center, perhaps shifting one or two of these many MGs that they have to the center, plus a couple of infantry squads, every once in a while, would help in keeping this area and giving the Axis an opportunity for triple capping the Allies, which would be very devastating because the Allies are down to 246. Their opponents, we have a Churchill plus some miscellaneous for OV1, so he's in a really bad spot. Communist has a lot of resources, and he's waiting for the S2, but to be honest, he could be getting something out of the mechanized, perhaps an Su-85 to counter the Panthers, because, there's no reason to save up when you have 11 CPs for the S2, which is 13 CPs, and when you've gone over the amount of fuel and manpower that you're gonna have to pay for that thing. So whatever. On the right side, we have Eculaser with 3 Su-76s and some miscellaneous. He's gone for Shock Army, which means the artillery piece, but not much in the way of late game. He's going to be suffering. He's going to be suffering a lot now because he hasn't really even gone for Mechanized Armor Compania because he spammed out so many Su-76s. So the Allies really have 2 players that are very much behind. Then we have F1 Falcon with 2 Katyusha, getting quite a lot of kills so far already, and an Su-85. Plus, he's gone for armored assault tactics, which means that later on he could go for the T-34-85 and the S-2 heavy tank. So that's a very, very big power play that he could go for in the late game. And it ensures that maybe they can kind of recover from their allies' you could say, blunders in in build order. The Germans on this side, we have Panzerkrieg that's still floating like 700 million manpower. And he's floating more manpower than China right now, and he definitely should be using some of that because, yeah, sure, he's got 2 infantry, 1 engineer, 2 machine guns, a Raken and a LEIG, plus a Panther, 64 pop cap in total. What he could do with that is he could go with an extra engineer to help repair stuff and his allies' tanks, and he could get an extra Raken and an extra LEAG. What the hell is the Katyusha doing over here? I have no idea, but it dies. And that would give him a lot of flexibility in what he can do on the right side. It would really, really help strengthen his defensive position around the battle headquarters. Wow, that was surprisingly effective. The Churchill really dealt a lot of damage to Panther in conjunction with the 6-pounder. Interesting. Did you see that? The Rakenwerfer just sniped a shock troop in the face. Anyway, this would be easier to defend against if you had... of course, they explode a mine. If you had another Sturmpower squad or another Volksgrenadier squad. But instead you decided to float 1,500 manpower. Another thing that he could do, actually, is build a couple of flak emplacements. They're not that terrible. Like, right now, he's getting flanked by this kind of stuff. Flak emplacement would not be terrible against that. Of course, he'd have to be pretty much very afraid of the Katyusha. Because those do decrew the flaks easily enough. His friend is going for the Panzer, actually 2 Panzer IVs, but then he's tech to tier 4 and he's got a Panzerwerfer. Very classic Wehrmacht, nothing too strange, but again, kind of because his ally is skimping out so much on the manpower, he's not really getting a lot of support. Now, I haven't been watching this side, so I do not know what the tactics are like, but it doesn't seem like whatever the Germans are doing over here is too effective because there's this big anti-tank wall that they somehow don't seem to be able to figure out how to deal with, even though they could just flank. Again, City 17 is a very wide map, so they could be going through here and then getting around, or through here and then getting around. Obviously here there's mines, right? There used to be mines. Maybe, no, it's actually German mines, not Allied mines. But yeah, they could just send up a minesweeper. He does have a minesweeper, so, you know, could just send up a minesweeper over here, try to see if there's anything, then come around with the Panthers. And while they're distracted and trying to turn around and kill the Panthers coming from flank, you can come in with the Panther from the front. But it doesn't look like they're doing that. Instead, they're just kind of letting the allies build up, which is relatively bad. Oh wow, that's a bad idea, Churchill. That's a really bad idea. Another Churchill's being built by OV1 though. Seems to really like Churchills. Interesting choice, to be honest. Yeah, okay, so right now the Panthers are able to come in. Nice fragmentation bombing. They can destroy the AT gun. Destroy the AT gun. Destroy the AT gun, you fucking dipshit. Why are you letting them recrew the AT gun? I hate that so much. And yeah, as you can see, these Panthers, oh look, it's the Jagd, the best tank in the game. It's the Jagd Tiger. Anyway, it seems like the Germans all around are really going heavily for those anti-vehicle options. You know, lots of Panthers, lots of Jagd Tigers, Panzerschreck upgrades on the infantry. Actually, 2 Sturmpowers have been killed, which is not really it's not really performing well so far. Like, the allies are surviving on team weapons, pretty much. Which is one of the reasons why Panzerwerfers are just such a good idea right now for the Germans. Panzerwerfer really useful. And it's kind of devolving into an artillery war. Although, like, this is the time when you should be making use of those Panthers, to be honest, because with it devolving into an artillery war, if the Panthers are determined enough, they can kind of skirt around these heavy tanks and AT guns, especially with the support of, like, Panzerwerfers and smoke and stuff like that, and off-map artillery, such as the assault artillery. And then try to reach the Katyusha and silence those. They're not doing that yet, but it's possible that they can do that. Now, as you saw, the IS-2 is on the field for Communist. He's waited long enough for it that he's got enough resources to buy another one should he lose it. So yeah, definitely should have bought some other unit, but of course, you know, he is communist, so he does not buy things. Because that's how communism works. Reconnaissance overflight is being used by Excalibur, so that's going to spot this Katyusha actually, and these Katyusha sometimes have been suffering from mismicro, we could say. But this one is going to kill an MG, not exactly the highest priority target, and get run down maybe by a Volksgrenadier with a Panzerfaust. That definitely should not be happening. Like, no matter how good these Volksgrenadiers are, you know, at 5, they're in no, like, you know, in no situation under the sun they should be allowed to get this close to a Katyusha. Once again, the vulnerabilities of what the Allies are doing are pretty apparent. It's just that the Germans haven't been exploiting them that much. Nice mine, though. Now it's the time to speed up a little bit because we haven't really seen anything new coming out for any one of these guys. Jagdtiger actually is going to be very useful against the Churchills on this side of the map and against the IS-2 heavy tank. So that's a great choice. I can't believe I'm saying that. The Jagdtiger is a great choice. What a great sentence. Katyusha coming in over there. Looks like the Allies finally have been pushed back a little bit from the right side through sheer persistence on the part of these folks. And now, again, because of the lack of just general infantry, relying too much on team weapons that have been mostly wiped out, it seems like the Germans are just able to push in, and these Panthers that they've spent so much money on, and oh, King Tiger's on the field, these Panthers that they spend so much money on haven't been really all that useful. What the hell? Looks like we have a bit of a raid on the fuel caches. Perhaps not the best idea to do this with a Su-85 and T-34-85 combination, especially because we've got these amazing Panzers. Oh look, here comes a Panzerwerfer. So yeah, the raid is continuing, but the Panzer IVs slowly but surely, because, you know, we wouldn't want to be doing blitzkrieg too fast, guys. They're managing to get around and reach the Su-85. Of course, at this point, it's a little bit late because the T-34-85 is in position and the Su-85 has turned around. Plus, there's the IS-2 coming in over here. Will this devolve into a massive brawl of armor? Doesn't look like it. There aren't that many units converging on this for either side, which is relatively to the Allies' advantage because for some reason Excalibur continues to want to stick in this fight, which was, you know, not exactly the best. Thankfully for him, his ally finally getting the Königstiger out is just cleaning house with the Allies on this side, because as you can see, the Su-76s are just not enough to deal with the Tiger. Now, with free firing on the tank at once, maybe, but he's getting support from the Rakettenwerfer. So yeah, he has to run away. Luckily for him, the King Tiger missed Yesu. And Yesu over here tries to flank around, but there's this Panther. What the hell is the Panther doing? They should have... Honestly, these two tanks should have pushed ahead and killed all of the SUs. They could have done that, but there's another shift in direction from F1 Falcon. He's trying to move around and come into the rear of the Axis force, but his tanks are heavily damaged and he doesn't have any engineers to repair it. He's lucky that he didn't get Panzerfausted over here. Only late Panzerfaust happening. So yeah, the right side for the Allies is just completely a goner. Like, I don't see how they're gonna really deal with this. Dead aircraft. God damn it, this music. And yeah, I just don't see the Allies coming back into this on the backs of what's gonna happen on the right side. I feel like the only option left for the Allies is Mr. Communist over here with the S2 and the massive amount of infantry, just because his opponents have been going with a lot of anti-vehicle. Looks like 47's Panther died at some point. Where exactly has that happened? I have no idea. One Churchill also died over here. Oh! Looks like it tried to flank, and it hit a mine and was immobilized. Heavy engine damage, which means that he was repaired. Actually, no. That's the new abandonment mechanics, right? Because when vehicles get abandoned, they get automatic criticals now, right? Yeah, okay, anyway, so it got abandoned, and which actually makes a lot of sense, because if you think about it, like, when would you abandon your vehicle? You know? It wouldn't be just because, like... wow, that's fast! Okay. Whatever, Blitzkrieg. Yeah, this ability is a little bullshit, but of course he was on the road, so he got extra speed. Anyway, what was I talking about? Like, you know, if you're a vehicle crew, right, and you abandon your tank, it's probably not because you all got killed or anything and then the tank is intact. It's probably because you took some kind of mobility damage, and so you cannot run away. But that's just like random musings. So anyway, this doesn't effectively turn the balance of power on the left-hand side, but it does give a little bit of an extra tool for the Allies to fight. It's not that big, but it is something. And here comes some artillery. Blows up the tiller mine under the Panther. However, it doesn't seem like the Allies are really like using these artillery barrages in conjunction with their attacks, although, oh no, okay, they're moving in, but that's very dangerous, because there is the Jagdtiger. Luckily, there is this flanking maneuver coming in, but the flanking maneuver is coming in without the support of all of this infantry horde. Now, if this was, like, if this had sync error detected, I think that right now the replay was just out of sync. But it just seems like Communist is being very idle with his guys. So yeah, really, if he had come in with a bunch of infantry, it wouldn't have done that much because of the bunkers, actually. But if he focused on taking down the bunkers and had the infantry nearby, then maybe he could have also dealt with the AT. Of course, his forces are just inferior to what the Axis are bringing over here. And the Axis are now bringing a lot on the right side as well. Looks like the Allies are trying to push in. They actually managed to kill a Panther, which is not bad for, you know, what they had to do it. But right now their situation is not looking that good. They cannot really breach the Axis infantry and team weapon line over here. The Panzer IV is getting support from the anti-tank gun, but T-34 kind of smartly dances around it and is going to survive. With the support of these SUs, it was able to dissuade the Panzer IV from coming in, but the German infantry wins the fight against the Allied infantry in parallel, so that's not gonna cause anything. T-34 76 coming in the side and trying to ram the Panther. Main gun destroyed. That is very lucky for the Panther. That is extremely lucky for the Panther, although, of course, the T-34 couldn't have known that he would have gotten a main gun destroyed critical just randomly. Building over here is going to collapse in flame and smoke, but yeah. Because the Jagd Tiger was not enough, 47 decided to go for the other Jag, which is the Jagd Panzer. Nice anti-tank grenade from the Panzer Fusiliers does damage IS-2, and with these Jags, he should be, way more than prepared to deal with the heavy tanks that the Allies are fielding on this side. Also, another good thing is that since his opponent now has fielded a Sherman Firefly, these Jags are going to help. Very much because the Panthers themselves don't do that well against the Fireflies, and that's a lot of Panther and Tiger action from NWO. But with the support of the Jags, he's not going to be in that bad of a position, and bounced. So right now, the S2 heavy tank has been pretty much killed by that Panzer Fusilier because of the damaged engine. Very well done. Excellent chase on the Jagd Panzer. Knew exactly, the limits of the unit and whether or not he should have pushed in or not. That was partially thanks to the support of this MG over here, which pinned down all of the PTRSs and prevented them from really posing any threat to the Jagd Panzer, which was a really good coordination. That was very, very nice. And it doesn't matter all that much because Communist is floating like manpower incredibly, just preposterously, and he can build another one, but he lost the veterans. That's not bad, and he's not going to be able to do this kind of shenanigans forever. He's got another S2 coming right up if he loses this one, but after that one, he's done. Big Allied infantry push on the right side gets repulsed, it seems like. Now finally F1 Falcon is starting to rebuild his forces a little bit, but he still has no bloody engineers. Only one squad, which is not the best idea ever. Panther tank moves in. I mean, the only reason the Allies are still in this game is because they've been able to capture the center point and sometimes the right side VP. So, really, I'd say that the only mistake that NWO and 47 are making is that they're not projecting themselves onto the center as much as they could be. Especially considering that NWO went for the vehicle spam army, essentially. Aww, the map hacks wagon died. Oops. Since he's gone for the vehicle spam army, he should technically be a little bit more mobile, right? Hasn't been the case, though. Also, I wonder what the officer is doing just standing in a bunker. Looking relatively boss. Of course, my graphics settings got turned down all the way to low at some point because the game thought I couldn't handle it. So, even though, I could, but yeah, whatever. Can't be bothered to actually fix it. Because that would be relatively... it would be showing a little bit too much care for Company of Heroes 2. Care that I do not care to show. Now, it seems like the Germans are picking away at what's going on here. Oh, okay. How did this Panzer get here? Okay, that's pretty good. Vet 2 Panzer IV tries to get around, and it could be doing so much damage, but the circumstances were just not right, so he has to run away. So right side, still again, kind of a status quo. The Panthers have decided to flank again because, giving one Panther to the enemy was not enough. So now he has to send in a couple more. And that's not getting support from the Tiger, it's not getting support from the Jagd Tiger, it's not getting support from the Jagd Panzer. So these two Panthers, without the mobility, because they got kind of cut off over here and boxed in, and without the support of the other Axis tanks, are basically in the most vulnerable position they're ever going to be. Where the hell is the British Panther? Looks like the British Panther died. And so the Vet 2 Panther over here is going to die, but nice fragmentation bombing is going to stun all these vehicles. Where the hell is the Tiger? The Tiger at this point needs to be exploiting this and coming in against the Firefly, but it wasn't able to do that. So, but why? Okay, so apparently for some reason the Allies saw that the Germans, you know, they were winning this a little bit too hard. So let's go in and waste our Vet 2 Churchill, because you wouldn't want to be a bad sport and giving the Germans, you know, too hard a beating, right? You need to exchange at least one of your vehicles for one of their vehicles when you lose them, right? When they lose one, right? So instead of running away when they could have with the kill and keeping all their tanks, they just decided to throw away their best tank because it's just fair play, you know. And if I could do a pretentious British accent, then that would have been a whole lot more funny. Why did the Panzer IV come up here in the end? This was the Panzer IV that was flanking around here. How did they get into the Allied base? And why? Oh well, doesn't matter. It died. So the Axis are trying essentially all they can to throw this game, but the Allies are not really letting them. The Allies are still down to 81 VPs, but they control 2 VP locations, so they're in a relatively okay position, I'd say. In terms of the VPs, at least. In terms of the units, it's not looking all that good. So we have 140 pop cap plus, oh boy, 180 plus 100, 320 pop cap for the Nazis, whereas the Allies are 155. What the fuck is this Panther doing? 160, 210, 275. So the Nazis are up 65 points of pop cap, roughly. So that's going to give the followers of Hitler quite a bit of an upper hand in these coming battles, especially if the Allies throw away their units like these. These are light troops. They don't really want to go on the attack against superior enemy defenses. And predictably, they're just kind of dying. In fact, they're very lucky to have escaped with 3 tanks after moving in with just 4. Nice barrage over here is going to wipe out the squad. Sorry for the cough. But overall, I just don't see this working out in the favor of the Allies. Panzerfaust coming down on the vehicles. The infantry is going to be repulsed by the flak, which gets immediately wiped out by the Raketenwerfer. And this guy is still here and still able to put down a lot of damage on the infantry, but the Pak 40 destroys him. And so that opens up the door for extra German troops to come in and capture the BP, hopefully. Another IS-2 from Communist. Looks like he's... No, this is the one that he bought a while ago. It just hasn't done that much. He's trying to push in along with the T-34 that was trying to flank and get to the Raketenwerfer, presumably. Plus a nice incendiary barrage destroying the artillery piece, but the mines are gonna, you know, kind of destroy that plan right in its tracks, as you can see. And now there's 2 stranded whales of tanks just kind of trudging along the road, which is not gonna be easy to defend because there are vehicles over here. There's a Panther that's Vet 2 plus a Panther that's not Vet 2, but it's a Panther nonetheless. Plus all the vehicles coming from the left. For some reason though, that no one's like really coming in. He dies to another mine, and he hits another mine and takes a lot of damage. Incredibly luckily, he misses like 7 mines. And he's gonna be repaired. That's very lucky that no German tanks kind of scrambled to destroy him, which they could have done, but they didn't. So that's pretty sad. Anyway, so the Yag Tiger on the left, predictably, is schooling these slow and relatively squishy British units into submission, because they just don't realize that what they need to do against these guys is come in from the side where they can't shoot at you. Of course, it's relatively difficult for lumbering Churchill to do that, but I mean, they just keep coming into the same, like, you know, from the same direction. One direction, XD. And it's just allowing the Germans to sit here and snipe them with turkey shoot. But whatever. The great left side turkey shoot. Right side is it's a little bit more contested, but once the Germans like securely hold this, they're gonna win. And there's 4 Kenwerfers actually for Panzerkrieg. He's finally spending some of that manpower, though he's still floating 1,600. After buying 4 brand new Kenwerfers, I'm guessing he was floating, you know, 2,500. Maybe even more. And there goes one of the T-34s. Predictably, second T-34 is also most likely going to die because of all the Rakens. Yeah, there we go, it dies. Because he hasn't built any anti-infantry, though, he cannot capture the VP because there's a shock troop over here. So that's relatively nasty. However, the shock troop is vet 0 against a bunch of vet 3 infantry. And the vet Panther, which I think it's like MG... I think this weapon... these weapon buffs apply to the MG as well. Not sure. But yeah, it's like... there's just too... it's not a lot of veterancy, but there's too much veterancy for the Allies here. And yeah, it's just... what are you doing, British man? Like, what do you think to accomplish? This is 1.5 players sitting in a entrenched position with, like, tank destroyers, and you're coming at it with slow heavy tanks from the same side every time. What are you gonna do? Like, what are you gonna do? The Tiger was sent to the middle from NWO. He can just like bring up a couple of pioneers or something and cap the VP. Although there's a machine gun, so no, he cannot. He could just fragmentation bombing the machine gun. And considering that the Allies are down to 75 VPs, I'd do that because it would be relatively effective. Once again, Communist is sending in his IS-2 without bloody infantry support. What the hell is this guy doing? That's a lot of AT guns. At least the IS-2 has enough sense to be scared by that. I'm just gonna speed it up because I don't see anyone changing tactics anytime soon. And if this continues the way it is, I'm thinking that, yeah, okay, so finally they send in a lot of stuff over here, and so the Tiger can kill the machine gun, although it's missing. IS-2 tries to do something about it, but it cannot because of the Panther support. And the VP is capped. So VP over here is capped, double capped. VP on the right side contested. So it's not as bad as it could be for the Allies, but once the Germans capture this, I am guessing that it's gonna go very, very bad for the Allies very, very soon. So, you know, Map Hacks Wagon gets destroyed by the Churchills, but the Churchills are eating nasty damage in return. And, you know, obviously the Churchill's a little bit more expensive than the Map Hacks Wagon. Tries to use the smoke to run away, but it's getting chased down by the Jagdpanzer. One of the Fireflies dies. Second Firefly tries to resist over here, but, you know, it does kill the Jagdpanzer, and it's saved by the fact that the Panther here hits a mine along with the Tiger, but everything else dies. There's actually a priest on Sexton. Fucking priests. So there's a Sexton on the field. It's not doing anything because he needs units on the field, not artillery. miraculously, somehow, the Allies are able to recap these VPs. Like, how the hell is it possible that they are not holding the VPs on the right and center? Like, the Germans are 4v2 at this point, but somehow they're not. I don't know. Me no understando, but yeah. Nice. Oh, that was a nice attempt at a crush and an amazing kill. So Communist is obviously not that happy about that, and he rage quits. You could say he pulled a Gorbachev, and that is way worse than it should have been. Yeah, that thing got smoked. Another King Tiger. What happened to the first one? They were pushing all the way to the base with a King Tiger and a Panther. What happened to that? I don't know, but whatever. The Allies finally run out of VPs. So I'd say that the biggest mistake that the Germans did is not focusing enough on the center. They could have won so much earlier had they just done that, but yeah, there's too much to talk about on the right side, so I'm not going to do it. Hope you all enjoyed. That was a great game. Thanks to NWO for sending it in. Thank you all for watching. As always, hope you enjoyed. I'll see you soon. Have a good day.